You are watching Travel World Online.
What's the thinking behind Air India's Aviation Academy, the role that will play in the airline industry?
I'm not going into the context because I guess in the morning everybody has talked about the context, India, happening market, huge growth, privatization of Air India, Air India coming back to the chart of growth, and huge plans for Air India. So within Air India, we have the Vihan.ai, which is our roadmap of the transformation of Air India. And one of the critical pillars there is training. So having said that, I must say that the Air India in the past, maybe 50 years ago, had the vision of setting up something called the CTE, the Center for Training Establishment within Mumbai and Hyderabad. It was a visionary step. I think at that time it must have been surely world class. And over time, probably it was under-invested in, and therefore, what we are doing is trying to create a similar setup now, but in today's day and age. So, two, three changes. One is, of course, it will be the latest and most modern as far as global practices is concerned. But two, three differences. One is we believe on the basis of whatever we found out from many airlines in the world, that we would like to locate it near our leadership center. So we are planning to locate the main academy that is already up and functional in Gurgaon. So that there is an ability for senior leadership to interact with all employees and convey the experience of the way we want to bring in our culture and value into everybody. One good news for airlines is that the training happens every year to keep the license current for most of the course, and therefore they need to come here. The other two parts are to do with both in terms of technology, how we make it better, and investment in ab initio training. So we are proposing to invest in ab initio training for pilots. We are setting up our own FTO, our own cadet pilot school, and we are planning to invest in ab initio training for aircraft maintenance engineers. So we are setting up our own BMTO, basic maintenance training organization. These are the two additional stuff. So that's the training academy has four pillars. One pillar is the advanced pilot training, where we are setting up joint ventures for our Airbus simulators and for the Boeing simulators. We have already announced the joint venture with Airbus for the Airbus simulators. Then we have the training academy, which has the entire, all the regular training that we hear in an airline. Then we have the ab initio cadet pilot school, the FPO, and the ab initio engineering school, which is the ABC.
Before we get to the other set of questions, there's this question of make versus buy. It's always the issue when you look at it. Was it a consideration for you before you decided that it's made rather than buy?
So let me, if you take these four pieces separately, I think as far as the ATO is concerned, or the advanced pilot training is concerned, we are still looking at not keeping it inside the airline. Because on the basis of whatever we understand, there are some inefficiencies which should be done. So the idea is to create a separate business organization in joint venture with the experts from these organizations, which can also have keep pressure to ensure the discipline and the efficiencies can be higher. So in a way, we are buying it from a commercial entity. But the decision taken is for the rest that we will invest in it. It's too critical for us. It's like, many years ago I used to be into the business excellence processes, and the way we used to look at it in Tata Steel and TCS. HR would be like a support process in a large manufacturing organization. But for a large IT company like TCS, it's very much a core process. So our call on these training is too core and therefore to buy.
Before we move to the next question, versus make versus buy, is there a buy and transition period before everything is set up, or let's say the FTO side or the ATO side or different businesses, is there a transition period where you have to do a balance, where you're making, you're also buying, and then you will obviously look at your exclusive infrastructure?
So let me take the example of the FTO. If you just take the amount of pilots that India needs, or India needs to produce not just for India, but I think India will more and more be a source for pilots globally. There is a strong reason for us to be able to sustain large FTOs in India, which is not happening today. So we are not betting on it. but our experience of the next 2-3 years will tell us whether that's an opportunity.
And this is going to be a profit center?
These are all going to be run as profit centers.
Right, from day one, or there is an initial grant or subsidy that will come
From day one, they will all be run as profit centers. You know, there will be a division of Air India, we will look as a business unit, which is a cost center, but in the way we are running the business, from day one, it's all as
And if, for example, if there is a plane which is cheaper, then, sorry, why is it cheaper than what you have? Will airlines look at it dispassionately, Air India, or it is a mandatory thing to?
So I think these are all strategic choices. The choice we have made is that this is too important for us, we will do it ourselves.
Okay.
You know, flipping will not be a long-term strategy.
Let's hear about your vision on the training side for the next 3, 5 to 10 years. Which areas are being prioritized?
So we're working, as I told you, all of these 4 pillars for the advanced pilot training, all the trainings for cabin crew, pilots, engineers, ground staff, security, for Abhinisho pilots, Abhinisho. So if you take Air India, the kind of growth we are talking about, 3x our fleet over the next few years. So one is about ensuring that the capacity of the cohorts required with the best possible training is put in place. The other 2 things which I have seen and learned is, I think, and great advantage we have as both Tata and in India, is to bring in more and more technology into training. And I'm not meaning to say this as a high-sounding thing, but the way technology can now come into training, earlier probably take 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, now can happen over a few weeks and a few months. So I think the use of technology is a big differentiator as far as training in India is concerned.
In the long term, do you see this on par with independent training companies which are captive as well as third party, profitable, having its own business and vision, maybe looking at accessing markets, the future, expanding outside the geography, or there is a vision that it's India specific, it's largely around India, third party pickup. The goal is not beyond Air India.
So today our focus is clearly for creating the capacity and the capability for Air India.
On that, right?
And on that basis, if we can create a real center of excellence,
Right. Will it be consolidated in one location, or it will have multiple bases, at least not on the technical side, but on the soft side?
so on the training side, the decision we have taken is to have one consolidated training center in Gurgaon. The FTO, the in-flight simulators, the 2 joint ventures are coming up in Gurgaon. The Abhinisho training, we have just signed up to set it up in Amravati, in Maharashtra. And the engineering school is going to come next to Air India's Kemal, which is coming up in Bangalore. So the idea of having the entire training academy in Gurgaon is, like I mentioned, to ensure that over time every single employee has the opportunity
It's close by to
the headquarters and CEO and CFO can every week go and meet some cohort with a new training.
Now, Air India is wanting to be a global carrier, premium carrier. Service training is one of the key essentials. Whereas technical will come to that. Is there by behind service training infrastructure being planned and given a priority both on the ground staff or the cabin side? Business class training, premium training, there's so many things that are getting done. Is that a priority, and do you see that coming first?
Very much. In fact, while the academy will cater to all the 4 AOCs of today and in the future 2 AOCs, which is the full service carrier, which is Air India, which is Air India Mesa, and the low cost carrier, which is Air India Express. For service training, we have tried to benchmark with what we see as one of the best carriers in the world, whether it's Singapore Airlines, Emirates, KLM, some of the other airlines. And we are bringing in all of those ability to do immersive and mock-up training at the academy. Simple things like Stalin Bridge, which is very much there, but doing in a more efficient manner. But having CST, the cabin service status, which is actually a mock-up of every single fleet with every single class of fleet, so that you can do the entire training in that, whether it's mine, training, whether it's IFP, impact entertainment, all of those training so that people actually get trained before they can go and come back and get retrained if required. So all of those are coming, but most importantly, not from the service perspective, but from the safety perspective, we are investing in a cabin evacuation and emergency data of the full motion side. Because I don't think any other Indian airline currently has that. We are talking, we are hearing about turbulence, and I think today all training happens through PPT and classroom instruction. There's nothing like making a fresh new cabin crew and showing different types of turbulences and why it is very important to be trained.
When we get to the technical side, I'll mention this particularly before I come to piloting, you mention the pilot. Is it going to be that I'll start the vocational training? Because if you look at our experience in the training when was that if you have a good AV school, the vocational infrastructure is not good. So are we looking at vocational training, then we move to aircraft type-wise training, basic vocational training, then we move to aircraft type-wise training. So is it integrated, all-encompassing in that sense?
So as I just mentioned, we are setting up a basic integrated training organization with the AV school in Bangalore, and we of course have the regional training organization, the CAR 147, which is already there in the south, it will be part of that India. So we have the ability of training a person right from class 12 up there. This ecosystem in India, what I've seen is could be better. I think GMR has set up a very good facility in Hyderabad now. But for the rest, I think this training, just like getting a good pilot, we will be able to develop engineers from day one in India.
And there will be hands-on training, which is
hands-on training
differentiated.
And lots to do with, like I said, the laboratories and the technology available, plus the ability to actually interact with our live maintenance organization, because there are a lot of coming up in Bangalore. That will be a big
differentiator.
game changer.
In terms of pilot training, what eventually simulator, you did talk about your plans. So what's the operation side of the FTO? ATO's operation, you have a sense already there, you're moving up fast. But on the ATO side, FTO side, there's a lead up to aircraft time. So when do we see, let's say, the first batch coming and then second?
So for setting up our own FTO, setting up an FTO, there are three pieces largely. One is the DGC approval to set up an FTO, which we already have. That takes time. There's placement of the aircraft orders, which we have just placed last week. And the third is to identify the airfield, which will give the rights and the permissions. So we just tied up the Maharashtra Airport Development Corporation at Amravati to set it up. So we are all geared in terms of what is required to set up the FTO. We are hoping to start ground classes in Q4 of this year, which is January, March of 2025. And we hope to start flying for the first aircraft from April of 2025. So it's not so far.
Which means FY 26. And when do you see it stabilizing to a level where Heritage starts getting benefited?
So our program is for about 21 months. We are building capacity for about 180 cadets a year from one airfield. We will still take care of a very small part of our India's requirement. We are hoping that in about 2 years' time, this first airfield will be able to come to full capacity of about 180 cadets a year.
In terms of online training and using digital applications for training, how important is that part of the overall training plan? And if you could explain us a little bit, people who know about e-learning, online training, you can do 8 hours a desk in 2 hours, let's say, do online training programs. And there's so many digital applications. Are you developing these digital applications in-house with the startups? Again, there is a buy, and plus how important it is.
So I'll probably take this in 2 parts. One is about online training of the way currently training is done versus the digital applications. The key difference which has happened, everybody is hearing about Gen AI and how things will change is that typically technology projects of these kind of applications, which could take 6 months, 12 months, 12 years, 2 years, so they can be done in weeks. And so we have started with the first for our cabin crew training to just see that how can Gen AI or the equivalent of a chatbot take this training to all aspects, not just in the classroom, but make it really conversational across whatever devices they have. So, and those can be developed over 3 weeks.
And we have started?
We have just started and we are now in the test phase. So we could do that for all roles. I think technology and training is what India is going to redefine for aviation.
And this is help from the group level companies or?
No, we are doing it in-house in India. We have some support from the other group companies and then from the large
OEMs.
the Microsoft and the Googles.
Next question is on the trainer and infrastructure pipeline. So Google has these aircrafts, a great facility. There's a big shortage of instructors and there is a big shortage of trainers. I'm not talking about the technical side, I'm talking about the software and corporate functions. So is there a trainer school, is there an instructor school? Can you tell us about that?
So, in terms of the capacity, the number of trainers which are required, I think across the 4 AOCs, when we map it out, we have sufficient to support the kind of growth we are looking at. But we will need to add on to this. To get to the trained trainer, we are tying up stronger with the OEM to ensure that the standardization of our trainers
Is it my point here?
yeah, it can vulnerable away so that there is more discipline and control over that. As far as service training is concerned, I think there is some bit available within the group. I can't say more, but yes, I think that's an area where we need to add on better.
Particularly the curriculum design. When we worked, we had 8, 9, 10 international conferences. The difference was curriculum design. And when you get to a third party, the critical part was IP. Nobody wanted to share that, and they had some experience in it. Now, when you're designing the curriculum, is it in-house, is it with the OEM, how is it designed to make sure that it is giving everybody what it wants?
So, to date, I think as a training academy, we are, symbiotically married with the airline, and the head of training in the airline is using customers to ensure that the latest in curriculum design, both from what is mandatory and what is the learning from our own experience comes in. But again, I think we are working very closely with the OEMs to ensure that whatever the global good practices which are happening, we are tuned into them so that they can be an input for our everything or working on our curriculum.
Now, Indian training is mostly regulatory driven, pilots, captains, courses. That I'm sure is going to be the focus to make sure that it is to create a higher safety level that you can have. The training is almost not there in the commercial functions, strategy functions, planning functions, finance functions. Is there are you making sure by design that it's just not one-sided towards the technical side? The other workforce is trained, like you would train.
So, again, in the earlier city of India itself, there were schools for each of these that you just mentioned. There were different schools with principals for the commercial finance, many others are training airport operations, etc. So, we are getting all of those in, and the ownership of this is with the CXO of that particular area. We are tying up very strongly to ensure that all of these trainings are very seamlessly integrated into the learning and development plan of every cohort, every group, and also every individual. So it's at early stages compared to the maturity you would see in some of the more mature organizations. But yes, we are very much working on each one of them. What is more critical, for example, if you are transiting to an MBA system or something, those trainings get done in a very critical manner. But some of the others will get more formalized going forward.
In terms of technology and digitalization changing job profiles and some of the job profile structure, the revenue management, back office functions, it's going to be dramatically changed. Then you build a long-term training pipeline with non-technical workforce. How are you incorporating the future job profiles? Because it shouldn't be that you're investing in the more brick and mortar or the traditional kind of roles, and then going forward everything changes structure. So is that part of the plan?
So, that's part of the plan, because we can see across almost all roles, the traditional skill sets are evolving more towards digital AI, computer science on the base on top of that. So that's something that we are seeing clearly and we are planning for it. We are in early days of ensuring that we have 4 airlines with 4 different cultures which are coming in. So also at different levels of digital savvy and requirement. So all of those is happening, but we are very clear in our minds that the traditional skill sets are moving and we need to plan for it. We are still in the early stages.
Finally, from an airline to building arguably India's world-class training infrastructure, which may take a couple of years to. What's been your experience when you were with the airline? How different it is now? Apart from your learning as you build into this is a very different, almost what you're setting up as an academy. From your airline experience to a training institute, what's the difference?
I think huge opportunity. One is, none of us have any doubt that Air India is going to become one of the global best airlines with an Indian heart. In spite of many such incidents or growth that you would hear about, because I think, with time, many of these things will come together. I think the great opportunity is training is going to be the differentiator in terms of other service from the safety perspective of how, if you take an Air India flight today and you will have some outstanding experiences, but you also have some experiences which are not so bad, not so good from the training. So to be able to standardize that into a narrower band down high level is something which will happen. The second is, especially from the FTO and the BMTO perspective, I think we will work towards democratizing people getting into these roles. I don't think many people in India, or at least larger parts of India, are aware how to become a pilot. And we first, thought that comes into mind that it's too expensive, and it's something that we wish to do, which is not correct at all. We have already in our cadet pilot program started up the financing with guarantee from Air India, where zero financial backing, somebody can come in and become a pilot. These are early days, but when we have our own FTO, I don't think that's an issue at all. And can you imagine the pilots get paid very well, in a very short period, 5-6 years time. Very, very significant. So I think we'll be able to democratize and get best talents from a much larger pool in India into aviation and into Air India. I think that's a future.
Given the experience that you had in building what you're building, which is unique, are you appreciating people's assets and their the ability to move people into assets by L&D and training much better than it was earlier?
I had a single perspective for long of my life, even as a business manager. But yes, I appreciate it more. I think the opportunity of creating what we can, not just for Air India but for the country, in terms of many of our airlines training centers of excellence, we could then move up the entire training and still what's unique for aviation is that almost 90% of the cohorts have their basic training level at only class 12. Unlike most of the companies where you need a minimum graduates to be in, whether it's pilots or engineers. So I think we have an ability of working with young, raw talent in a very impressionable age and creating very high quality, managers and leaders for the future Air India.
You are watching Travel World Online.